More than 3 days have passed since the latest patch, so now we can really see what the best decks in Hearthstone are right now. I'm gonna give you 5 of the best decks, show your mulligan, win rates, as well as some general tips so you have a better idea how to play with them, as well as know what you're playing against. So if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to get time for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is obviously gonna have to be Combo Druid, and I'm not sure why they call it combo, like it's more tempo, ramp, that kind of deal nonsense, like people call it Druid, honestly. Yeah, this Druid right now is absolutely crushing the meta. It's probably the most popular deck. Let me actually check that statement. Yeah, it's very much the most popular deck, and with above 63% win rate, with good reason. Like, look at this nonsense, it's all over the place. So right now, you're either playing Combo Druid, or you're playing something that does well against it, because honestly, it's not 16%, it's fucking 50% of your opponents nowadays, so get used to those. If I gotta be completely honest, this is not my favorite variant of the deck right now, but it is the one it supposedly is doing best. In top 1000, I kind of prefer the list that runs the location plus the treasure chest nonsense, but these cactus constructs can also help you with some stuff, like it can give you even Splish Splash if you get pretty lucky, or all sorts of other decently useful 2-drops. No more Celestial Projectionist, however. And yeah, Combo Druid right now, name of the game is you ramp a lot, you deramp the opponent a bunch, and you cheat out tons of extra stats with the help of Marin, with the help of INR, with the help of wow, this list isn't even running Dorian? That sounds very weird, but indeed this is shown to be the best performer from Diamond to Legend at least, but yeah, results may vary. But like I said, it really isn't my favorite list, it's just the one that really is supposed to be doing best right now. This one also has a couple of Spinetail Drakes in here, which is not normally part of most lists. And yeah, you already heard what you're supposed to be doing. You can also check out my gameplay video with this deck so you have a better idea how to play with and against it. As for the matchups, here's what it shows. Right now, I'd say Pain Warlock is your one of your worst matchups. There's also Mech Rogues out there, at least in top legend I faced a few, which are really wiping the floor with you. But other than that, you really don't have any bad matchups, like very, very polarizing stuff, and it's all in your favor in most cases, so the only bad matchups for you with this deck would be very, very fast decks, like Pain Warlock and like that Mech Rogue I talked about. Also, Shopper Demon Hunter is supposed to be decent against you, but apparently these stats are showing otherwise. Really believe it does have the upper hand in most cases, at least if both curve out properly, I guess. As for the mulligan, here's what the stats show going first. You obviously always want your Splish Splash. You want to also hold on to a second dragon because your Splish Splash needs to get activated, so holding on to a Chia Drake or a Desert Nest Matron is usually the way to go. Gift Wrapped is also not bad, but try not to play it on turn 1 if it's your dragon activator. After all, you gotta be activating the ramp, not some extra stats. Other than that, Cactus Construct ain't bad on 1. Summerflower Child could be a key, but I would only hold on to her if I already have some ramp action going. Honestly, I also hold on to Malfurion's Gift a lot of the time, especially if I don't have Splish Splash already, so there's that too. And the others are going to be kind of matchup dependent, like you could be looking for a swipe in certain cases, even though going first you probably won't. Take to the Skies is something people like holding on to. I guess it's not that bad, especially if you already have a Splish Splash in hand and don't have another dragon. This way, at least you guarantee you're going to be ramping on turn 3. Turn 4 more like it. And yeah, that's about it for when going first. As for when going second, here's what people usually keep. And again, Splish Splash is the way to go. Again, Gift Wrap ain't bad, Cactus ain't bad, Desert is decent. And on the mulligan win rate, we can also see that things like Spinetail Drake could be a consideration. Going second is definitely pretty good tempo play, like killing a free drop while sticking a decent sized body. It's also a dragon to activate all of that nonsense. You get the picture. For other good Druid decks, you're gonna see tons, literally tons of iterations of this combo Druid. Like, look at this nonsense, so many different variants. Something more along the lines of this is what I kind of prefer. Yeah, it has Dorian, it has the location, it still has 1 Cactus, but it's cutting the 5 damage dragons, so there's that. Plenty of different options to be picking from. Also, this Hero Power Druid, let's call it more like it. It's also called Combo Druid, but it's Hero Power, honestly. Is also still pretty nice. And Treant Druid with the Dragon package is also doing decently well. It also does well against Combo Druid if you ask me, because again, it is a quicker variant. There's also apparently straight up Treant Druid, which also is going to be farming these combo druids more often than not. Highlander Druid is also out there, but the rest is kind of meme territory. On the number 2 spot, we still have Handbuff Pally doing as strong as ever. Right now, this deck is not super amazing against combo druids, but it does hold its own. And it's still pretty strong against most other matchups as well, so you still can't really go wrong with Handbuff Pally if we gotta be completely honest. The list really not much different from what I've showed you plenty of times before. We're still running Yogg because people are still running the Virus module Zilly. This one is obviously going with the Twin module and double up stats kind of deal, because you get to buff this up quite well, and dropping this on turn 5 or turn 6 can single-handedly win you the game as well. And you also have the faster package with South Sea deck cans with Audio Medics. And we also have a couple of Astral Serpents, so the draw keeps coming. You don't have any spells in here, so Magathon naturally fits in well. And yeah, the rest is pretty standard stuff. You either win through OTKing the opponent with South Seas, with Outfit Tailors, and with Leroy, or you just keep on piling a bunch of stats after bunch of stats, and the opponent stops kicking at some point. So definitely not rocket science to make this deck work in the current meta. Matchup-wise, here's what the stats show, and it's even listing Combo Druid as a favorable matchup. But on the other hand, Flood Pallies, Spell Token Hunters, and Zerimian Priest are definitely not going to be your friend. Everything else looks pretty green though. Mulligan-wise, you can definitely check out my guides and whatnot for this deck, and here's what it shows going first. You definitely want a Drone Deconstructor, it's one of your best 1-drops, and saving the 1/1 mech out of it is gonna help you buff an extra body you can magnetize onto later for a ton of stats. Tigress Plushie is usually good, Gold Banner is nice, Painter's Virtue or Instrument Tech are good keeps. Grim Street Outfitter, not super amazing going first if I gotta be completely honest. Definitely not the 2-drop you want to be dropping that early, but in some cases it's fine. It's more of a fine top deck than anything else. Like, I wouldn't really hold on to this going first, because what are you gonna buff? 2 minions? Not really amazing, is it? Musclotron also isn't horrible, but the rest, you gotta have a good reason. Like, Righteous Protector could be a great keep, especially if you have a gold banner, but usually it's not something you wanna really be dropping on turn 1 unless you have a good reason to do it. As for On the Coin, it's not really much different, but Painter's Virtue becomes a lot better than straight up Instrument Tech, because you want to be coining this down on turn 3. The rest looks pretty similar though, so keep that in mind. On the number 3 spot, we also have Flood Pally still doing nice and well, and this list again is really not much different than what we're really used to seeing. It's pretty straightforward. Flood Pally still runs solid heavy hitters. The only thing that kinda stands out to me here is this one is running a couple of Tigress plushies. That's usually not a part of the most of the lists, but right now I guess those still remain decently strong for the deck. It's also nice that they're rush minions, so you can instantly gain value out of your Crusader auras and whatnot. But yeah, name of the game with this one. Go wide, go buff. Cheat out Sea Giants, cheat out Zilliaxes, and also cheat out extra AoE with Prismatic Beam with the help of Showdown. That's incredibly easy to really do. Even though Showdown got nerfed, it's still a super strong card, like basically a 4-mana combo for a full board clear, if the opponent was silly enough to play 4 minions that fast. You got some card draw with the gold banners, you got the trifecta good 1-drops in here, Hi-Ho helps you with the card draw, and yeah, it's really... I think we're past the point where I should be explaining what this deck is all about. Again, plenty of guides about it from me, plenty of coaching sessions and whatnot. Search and you shall find. Matchup-wise, here's what it looks like. Some of the Death Knights are not going to be super great for you, because they have a little bit too much removal for your liking. Highlander Warrior is also not your best friend. And honestly, Control Warrior can also feel very rough, because they have 2 of their good removals, so arguably I think Control Warrior is probably even worse for you. But again, you're going to be decent against combo druids, even though Swipe is far from your friend, but it's doable, I guess. Mulligan-wise, here's what we have, and going first, you want a single good 1-drop Miracle Salesman would be your best. Must for Battle ain't bad, Mining is great, Crusader Aura, I wouldn't really straight up hold on to going first unless I already have a perfect like Miracle into Mining Casualties, let's say. Gold Banner ain't bad, Hi-Ho's okay. Any of the other 1-drops are okay keeps if you don't have any already. And if you're curving out, even Flash might make some sense, even though in most cases it don't. Going second, things like Showdown and Ziliax and Prismatic Beam become a lot more keepable, but you have to have a specific hand for that to happen. You basically get a lot easier time actually cheating out a lot of extra stats that way, but it is tricky and you have to really know what you should be expecting from the opponent and what you should be expecting from yourself as well, so keep an open mind how you curve out when going second, but Zilly is definitely pretty good there. Other than that, Boogie Down is pretty good here because you get the coin it on turn 3, Gold Banner's still fine, Muster's fine, Crusader again if you have the good curve and the opponent allows it, Flash Sale ain't too bad either, all around you get the picture. For other good Pally decks, right now we don't really have much else honestly. The Mining hand buff Pally is also doing very strong. If we're gonna call it a different archetype, I guess that can also be included, but I'm just gonna put him under the same equivalent. Like hand buff Pally still looks the same to me, even though they kind of play out a bit differently. You don't have OTK potentials and whatnot. Highlander Paladin is also on the radar, but far from the stats we're used to seeing for Paladins, and everything else is just iterations of the top 2 dogs. On the number 4 spot, we also have Shopper Demon Hunter, and yeah, the deck does well against Druids in my experience. Yeah, here's what it is. I guess it's a 50-50-ish. The Druid says it's not a good matchup for the Demon Hunter, but from my experience and from these stats, it shows it's okay. And Chopper Demon Hunter has been remaining a relatively strong deck for quite a while now. Not much difference in this one. We're actually not running... No, we are. We are running the Sock Puppet Slitter Spear. I guess this is the list I did show you a few days ago. Or did I? I don't know. But it's very close to it. No, this one actually has a Literary Studies. But close enough, honestly, so you could check out some of my games with it. And the deck really curves out well, especially with the help of things like Ziliax, and I do joke about this deck not being Shopper Demon Hunter, but Ziliax Demon Hunter, because technically turn 1 Frequency Oscillator into turn 2 coin out Ziliax. Good luck dealing with that fat fuck that early, like very hard thing to be playing around. And you can literally make a lot of non-games with that combo, helps big time. Honestly, I guess same can be said for any class, but we already run the Frequency, so pretty good stuff. Other than that, yeah, you want to be getting your weapon nice and quickly, you want to be getting some cheap shoppers, and you want to cheat out a bunch of mags like that. Again, it's a very tried, true, and tested deck out there. You already know what you're supposed to be doing. I do have a very detailed, not so recent guide about this deck, but it's very much still top tier if you want to be learning this deck, so go ahead and check that puppy out. Matchup wise, we already saw, not that much stats honestly, but good enough I guess. Maybe we should check a similar list. What the hell? We're not running Instrument Deck in this shit? Unbelievable, but it did list it as better than this one? I don't know, man, a little bit arguable now that I said it. Like, this thing seems a little bit like an integral part, doesn't it? But honestly, let's move down to this list. Like, Illidari Studies instead of the Instrument Deck? I don't know, Chief. Sounds like a little bit bullshit to me. Yeah, here's the stats, a lot better, honestly. Combo Druids, even better listed here. Mining DK, not so great. And Warriors are not your friends, even though they're not impossible. Yeah, honestly, I'm just gonna list this list, because that's just a little bit too controversial for my liking. And here we can see the mulligan. Ziliax is definitely pretty good keep, especially if you have a Frequency Oscillator. Drone Deconstructor ain't bad. Like, don't keep too many 1-drops. Like, a single 1-drop is usually enough. You don't want to overdo it because your hand goes fast, real fast. You don't want to end up being turn 3, no cards in hand. Instrument Deck ain't bad. Straight up Umpire's Grasp could be a keep. And even Spirit of the Team could be a consideration, especially if you already have a Suck Puppet. That really is a pretty nice combo. As for On the Coin, it's not much different, but here the weapon is a lot better than straight up Instrument Deck, because you get to coin this on turn 3 and play the big dudes on turn 4, so there's that. Zilly's still insane. And the rest, you get to see it. For other good Demon Hunters, there's also the Naga variant of this list. It's not super consistent, however. It's a lot harder to pilot too. I think this is the list I showed you. Yeah, this is the Illidari's without the Instrument Deck, but this is the list I showed you second, so I think this is the way to go. A lot more games. 2% lower win rate, but I don't know, man. I think somebody was trying to do an experiment or something, and they knew how to play the deck initially. Whereas here, I think this is what the masses should be using for sure. Yeah, we also have a couple of Blind Eye Sharpshooter variants doing okay. Highlander Demon Hunter was up there. It's still playable, but it's nowhere near as good as this one. And lastly, we have Insanity Warlock. Here's supposedly the best list out there. I really don't feel this is the best list though. Like Sketch Artist over Symphony of Sin? Seriously? I don't know, man. Like there are a bunch of lists out there. This one has low sample size with Symphony instead of the Sketch Artist, and honestly I don't feel the Sketch Artist is good anymore. Like this thing used to be good against the Warriors, now we don't really get to see too many of those, so what is up with that even? Again, like, I think I should rather show you a different list, guys, seriously. In top 1000 at least, I think I saw good Insanity, maybe I didn't. But yeah, if we're gonna go with Insanity, I think we should pick something a bit more tried and tested. This is the initial list. It also runs Ziliax, which is okay, obviously, but Zilly seems not to be a part of that many decks. Like, here's what I played a few days ago, and it felt like pretty premium stuff, honestly. Yeah, I really feel like this is as good as it gets. Like, I guess Zilly could also get included here, but didn't really feel needed. Yeah, I think this is the list you should be going for usually. And again, I've done guides about this and whatnot, gameplay videos and stuff like that. You can check those out, but what you want to be doing is you want to curve out with the fatigue stuff. You want to amp up the fatigue with enroaching, let's say, on turn 3 to follow up with a turn 4 Crazed Conductor. And that's usually like 4 mana summon 4 free-frees if you got lucky with a Baritone into enroaching, which is pretty nice stats. And that's kind of your game plan. Like, you don't always just win through straight up fatigue. You usually win through a combination of both aspects. Like, you want to build a board, you want to chip some damage that way with your trogs, with your crescendos, with your fatigue damage. Like, honestly, the enroaching Insanity isn't even a part of your real damage game plan. Like, most you can get out of your enroaching Insanities is about 10 damage, unless you've also done Fizzle, in which case it goes a lot higher. Like, was that even 21? Even technically lethal out? Like technically, if you copy this twice with the Fizzle, you can go above 30 damage with just the fatigue damage like that. But honestly, it's really not your main game plan. Your main game plan is the combination of all of the things. Like, you chip a bunch in the early turns with the help of your Baritone Imp, with the help of your Trolley Problem, with the Crazed Conductor. In the mid game, you chip a bunch with things like Trog, things like Crescendo, things like Popgar, and again, in the late game, you can also go even a lot higher with Crescendos and Trogs, and heck, even Symphony of Sin is potential lethal out. Obviously, Popgar also helps, so yeah, don't get baited into always trying to win with bullshit Insanity nonsense. It really is a combination of all those aspects of the deck, and it usually works very well, very hard to play around. You also have a good amount of removal with Domino Effect. You could have as much as 4 Crescendos with the help of Fizzle. The Symphony also helps. Like, a lot of small things really pile up a lot for this deck. And you have 4 different ways of preventing yourself from taking damage with a couple of Voids, with a couple of weapons. So don't be too picky with those. Like, you can technically just tempo out of Virtuoso on turn 1 and feel okay about it, no problem with that. But definitely make sure to save one way of preventing mass damage later, because you are going to be taking some very serious hits later. Funny thing about the mirror matchup with this deck is you got to be really careful how much fatigue damage you take, because if the opponent is smart, they're going to hold on to their enroaching Insanities, and when you go up to like 4 fatigue, they're going to play a couple of enroaching Insanities, and that's just going to wreck you from nowhere, so be very, very careful with those plays. But yeah, let's look at the matchups, and apparently Combo Druid is not supposed to be great for you. Personally, I found it to be a pretty good matchup for me, but I don't know, maybe I just got lucky. Hand buff Death Knight apparently is not super great. The Pallies are not great, so I guess hand buff Pally is gonna be one of your worst matchups. The rest looks pretty doable though. Matchup-wise, here's what we have, and you want your good fatigue package with Crazed, with Baritone. Miracle Salesman ain't bad. I wouldn't really hold on to fracking if I gotta be honest. Like, fracking is something I'd rather use a bit later. You kind of want to not lose too much resources, especially don't want to be letting the opponent know you lost a bunch of resources. So turn 1 fracking is something I don't really condone unless I really don't have jack shit to be playing on turn 2 and 3. Crescendo is not something I usually hold on to either. Thornveil is okay, Elementium Geode is great, and Roaching Insanity is pretty nice as well. And depending on the matchup, you might even consider Domino. As for on the coin, here's what it looks like again, and it's all about the fatigue again. Miracle and Geode are also not bad, and Roaching is still decent. And here, Crescendo and heck even Popgar might make the cut depending on the matchup. For other good Warlock decks right now, Pain Warlock is also still doing quite fine. We can also see things like Snake Warlock here and there, but it's not even that amazing. Even Warlock is actually also quite playable right now, mid-tier 2 if you have to put it somewhere. Sludge Warlock is also still up there, not by much, but it's there. There's the Mining Warlock, above 50, but nothing to write home about. Wheel Warlock is also doing not great, so yeah, it's either Pain or Insanity for you right now. And even Warlock if you really need to be playing something different. That's it for the top 5 decks. Moving down to the Death Knights. From Diamond to Legend, Death Knight doesn't seem to be that hot. In top 1000 Legend, there was this Rainbow Plague Death Knight that was doing quite well. I did show you a video about it, but right now it's not doing that hot, apparently from Diamond to Legend. So yeah, you can see all the different variations of DK right now. Basically Rainbow, basically Plague, Mining, Can Buff is also out there, but nothing is really doing too far from 55. With Hunters, Spell Token Hunter seems to be doing really well, very small sample size here, but we have several different iterations out of it. Same with Secret Hunter, it's also doing quite well. Technically I could have included it into this top 5, but I really haven't seen much of it, and it's also not a deck you're gonna see at all in top 1000, so there's that. Highlander Hunter is also doing okay. So yeah, you have definitely have plenty of options to be playing Hunter right now, but they're not really top tier. With Mage, Spell Mage is still doing best for the class. Rainbow Sith Mage is also acceptably good right now. And Elemental Mage is also up there, but just shy of 50%, I guess. With Priest, Zrimi Priest is still your best bet. Highlander Priest is also quite playable. Overheal Priest is something I've heard is doing well, but you have to really know how to play that deck. And I did see some weird mid-range Zrimi Steel Priest or whatever the hell that was. Which was also looking quite interesting, but you're not really gonna see it on the list just yet. With Rogues, we're actually gonna see tons of Rogues in Top Legend, like plenty of people are abusing Mining Rogue in those ranks, but it's really not a deck I can advise Diamond Legend players to be trying too much of. It's a fun deck, definitely doesn't have very similar gameplays, but you have to really know what you're doing with that one, because so many moving parts, so many different play patterns you're gonna be seeing with those. Like, it all comes down to how well you're gonna be able to discover and really decide what you're gonna be picking from those discovers, because it really has access to a lot of broken things, but you're gonna have to really make most of those broken things for the deck to actually climb for you. Miracle Rogue apparently is also still playable, but not as good anymore. And like I said, Mech Rogue is somewhere up there. I guess it's still flying under the radar, but it's definitely something you might want to try if you're facing too many combo druids. With Shaman, Evolve Shaman, I guess Nostalgia Evolve Shaman is doing best from Diamond to Legend at least. Whatever the hell this is, some kind of Highlander Swarm Shaman. And also Nature Shaman in Top Legend is again something the best players are able to do quite well with. Like, for example, Norwis is having some insane stats with it. But in the end of the day, not most people are that kind of player, so wouldn't advise it the most. And lastly, with Warrior, Highlander Warrior is still doing quite well. And Odin Warrior is actually doing well even against Druids. I've seen people slapping with it in Top Legend again and doing very well, like top 10 finishes and whatnot. So definitely don't sleep on Warrior still. It's a very, very capable deck. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Let me know in the comments what your favorite deck is right now. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.